Hello and welcome to tonight's Get in Tune. I'm Michael Gracia, and happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. I am going to have a great show now. The original guest that I had planned, James Edock, was supposed to be on tonight, but he had some scheduling issues. So the guest I was going to have tomorrow is coming on today, and he's got a great Kickstarter. I've been checking it out. I'm excited to share with you. So why don't we let's just bring him on. His name is Jerre Winsborrow. Hi, Jerry.
Hey, Michael. How are you?
Hi. Doing good. How about you?
Okay. Thank you for
Oh, anytime. So before we begin, I want people to know they can find you on Instagram at Pyramid Graphic Novels, which is your company. And also, I'm posting in the comments, which we're going to look at in a little bit. Let me just get right to the right spot here. Your Kickstarter for your new book, Seek. I'm sorry. I for some reason I always call it Sneak, and I don't know why. It's just in my head that way. I apologize. So if I mess it up, just please correct me. But I'm excited to look at it. I am. It's an interesting. Looks like a very interesting, fun story. So so tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us how you got into comics. Was it something from your childhood? Was it something from adulthood? How did it start? When did you get the comic itch?
I started collecting about 13 years old. I had comics before that, as a child, Superman, Batman. But my first book that started off my collection was Godzilla from Marvel.
Really? Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
I'm a big Godzilla fan.
That's great.
King Kong versus Godzilla, Rodan, all of that.
Yeah.
And that's, I could say, and I still have that book to this day. That's where it started. From there, it went to George Perez on the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man with Ross Andrew, the Champions, Avengers with George Perez again.
Yeah.
Uncanny, and then Uncanny X-Men with Claremont and Byrne.
Okay. Yeah.
That's when I fell in love.
Yeah, no, I get you. I started collecting at 13 too. I was reading a little bit before, friends, cousins, things like that. Yeah. But for me, I remember being 13, 8th grade, finally having my own cash to go to the comic shop and start buying books. So you're talking about all these great artists and writers already off the top who I think inspired a lot of us. And Xavier is in there saying, "Great interview, guys." Well, thank you. Hope you stay with us. We just started, and I think it's turning out great so far. But yeah, you're mentioning all these. So who were your? So you mentioned some great comics, but who were your influences that you looked at that inspired you to create?
It was John Byrne, I could say, which is a lot for a lot of people, but it was John Byrne and Chris Claremont.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Okay.
I was amazed. I guess it was also how the second team looked. They were a little unusual looking. They weren't typical looking superheroes.
Yeah.
And I found that fascinating. And from there, I started creating.
Yeah. And so you've been creating since you were a kid.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. And what did you lean more to, art or writing at the time?
I could say both. I think I've always been a storyteller. As a child, I was always drawing Godzilla, but it wasn't like a pinup style. It was like 100 things were going on. So I would go to my mother and take a half hour to explain to her what was going on in the picture. It wasn't just, here's Godzilla. I would say, well, Rodan's in the background and this tank is doing this and these guys are coming from the left, and there was a whole thing going on. So I believe that I was always into storytelling.
That's great. You reminded me, a student I worked with last year, as most of the audience knows, I work with a lot of kids doing comics, storytelling, animation stuff. And there was a kid I worked with last year who was obsessed with Godzilla. Every time we would draw something, he would be, Mr. Grassi, is there a way we could put Godzilla into this? And I'm like, well, you can put it into yours. And he would do the same exact thing as you're telling me. He would have jets coming to attack them, different monsters in the background, people down on the ground running for their life. It was just, yeah.
And my mother, God bless her soul, she would humor me.
Yeah. But that was great. The kid was the same way. He told stories using Godzilla pictures.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. I love that. I'm actually I don't want to say huge fan, but I'm a big Godzilla fan myself, although I haven't seen the latest film yet.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah. So when did you make your start making comics? I know you said as a kid you were doing storytelling, but when did you get into making your own comics?
My first comic, believe it or not, was an adaptation of that movie, Dirty Mary and Crazy Larry.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I know that movie.
It's Peter Fonda. It's a car chase movie.
Okay.
And I saw it as a child on the Friday night movie on Channel 7. And, it's just a typical car chase movie. But what blew me away as a kid was the ending, because I never saw an ending like that. I guess I can give the ending away. They go through all this hell. They rob a supermarket, and this guy's like an ex racing car driver. So he's badass on the road, and they go through all of this and they get away. And at the end they hit a train and the car blows up, and then the credits roll. And as a kid, I was like, what the hell?
That's interesting.
Yeah, as a kid nowadays, whatever. But as a child, I was blown away by that ending. And so I drew a comic on Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry.
That's great. Sounds like a movie I'd enjoy. So I'll have to look for that. Yeah. I like watching the old movies.
The actor who died in I forgot his name now. Who was filming the old Twilight Zone movie? He died in a helicopter crash.
Yeah, I'm blanking too.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
he was in it. He was the cop chasing them.
Yeah,
it was.
So that was at what age were you doing that? Was that you as a kid,
13,
right?
13,
14. And when did you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to start making comics and start, like, whether they're through Kickstarter, you're just like, I want to start making my own comics? When was that you like said, okay, because the one we're going to talk about, Seek, tonight is not your first book. You've had others. So how did you get into the industry, and when did you start making your own stuff?
Well, I was always drawing books, throughout my life. Yeah. But, I was pretty critical of myself that I knew it wasn't ready to publish or send to anyone. I really didn't have the desire to work on Marvel or DC characters. I always wanted to create my own characters. And I found it really difficult creating something original and new. So I struggled with that.
Yeah.
And jump ahead. I came up with 2009. It was Imasti 8. I called Imasti. Imasti. It's a Greek word. It means we are 8.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was my first professional publishing venture.
And I'm sorry, can you repeat the year that happened again?
I believe it was 2009.
9. Okay, that's what I thought you said. Yeah, around there. And can you tell us a little bit what that story was about?
In a nutshell, it's about these group of people that are called world savers that are born into this, that they're destined to save the world. And they're brought together to do this. And the mission is to stop the end of the world by preventing the second coming of Christ.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It wasn't well received. I went to several conventions in New York City, and it really wasn't well received. it was kind of pretty heavy. You know, when I would tell people the premise, a lot of people got turned off by it.
Do you think it's because of the religious aspect in there, or is it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I ask because I think a lot of people would watch a movie like that, so I don't know why they wouldn't read a comic.
Yeah, a lot of people turned off.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
After that, several conventions. My wife, who's my editor-in-chief, she suggested that I do something a little more mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it kind of hard. It was almost like a death. I put so much work into this book, and but I really felt she was right. So I went over old notes, and I found this great name that I got from an airline magazine, Natalia Hyde. I don't remember who the name belonged to, but it was in them, and I said, "Wow, what a cool name!" Right away I referenced Mr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll.
Yeah.
And I played around with that a while, and at first it was going to be an ensemble book with all the descendants of all the legendary monsters.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as I wrote it, Natalia Hyde always took center stage. And so my wife suggested to just make her the star.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Natalia.
And so she's would be like the great granddaughter of Mr. Hyde.
Actually, no, she's the daughter of Mr.
Oh, the daughter of Mr.
Yeah. So she's like 100-something years old.
Interesting. And you still have copies of these available if people wanted to get them?
Yeah. Actually, I plan on doing a Kickstarter for those books.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also available on Indie Planet right now.
Okay.
But I'm going to remaster them. The art and the work itself was rushed because every time I was ready to finish a book, it was for a convention.
Mm-hmm.
And of course time was running out, and a lot of it had to be rushed and thrown together quick. And so I want to fix up Natalia a little more, and then I'm going to relaunch it on Kickstarter.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I look forward to seeing those. I'm actually a big fan of like those old Universal classic monster movies and stuff. So
Natalia Hyde is basically centered around the search for the original Mr. Hyde formula by Dracula's brother Radu, who wants to create a army of vampire Mr. Hyde hybrids. And why he wants to do this was, at first I was going to do the whole take over the world thing, but who wants to take over the world? Who cares,
Yeah.
So I came up with this idea he just wants his brother's money, Vlad money.
Yeah.
And when families fight about money all the time, and I said, yeah, that's pretty cool. So he's trying to create this army. His inheritance back from his brother, and Natalia is stuck in the middle.
Interesting. I like that. I like that story a lot. So and what year was that you did that one?
That was 2012, and it premiered at New York Comic Con. Issue 0 and 1.
All right. And have you done any others since then? Because
Natalia Hyde.
Yeah, well, not of Natalia, but any other books.
No, that's it. I believe it or not, I have 6 other books, including Natalia, all ready to go in various stages of production. But I have 6 other titles, including Seek and Natalia. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did after the convention. I just started. Busting out all of these ideas I had and drawing at least 2 issues of each book.
Okay.
And then when I finished Seek, I decided to do the Kickstarter. I picked Seek to head off the Kickstarter because I just felt, the superhero aspect of it, would click better.
Yeah. And are there any I don't want you to spoil anything, but any other titles you can talk about that like you're excited to
My
to
next,
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
my next one is it's called Violent Dogs. It's my love letter to film noir,
Okay.
and it has all those aspects in it. The story is based on an old 1968 song called "The Snake." It's like one of my favorite songs of all time. Um, and I don't know how it came about, but I said, people actually what inspired me was that movie about the Beatles, Across the Universe,
Mm-hmm.
how they wrote that movie based on all the Beatles songs.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, and of course I added to it. But the Violent Dogs is about an assassin who gets set up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want you. You don't tell me anymore. I want to leave this open for.
I try to tell more. It'll just give
give it. Yeah. I don't want to hear more. Just give us a little taste. That's all we need here. Any others? You don't have to go through all 6, but any others that you're excited about?
Besides Natalia Hyde, I have it's my Vigilantes book. It's kind of my love letter to Batman and those type of books. It's called Night War. And
Night War?
Night War, yeah.
Okay.
It's 2 books. They're companion books. One is called Night War Lady War, and the other one's called Night War War Dog. And they're connected, but 2 separate stories.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you tend to, from what I'm getting, talking to you and seeing what you post on social media, and I know a lot of it's been a lot about Seek lately. You tend to kind of not do you have superhero aspects to your stuff, but it's not traditional heroes. Is that due to you not wanting to kind of draw superheroes, or it's more of a like, I enjoyed the X-Men, but I want the X-Men without costumes?
Well, it's kind of, it goes back to why I use, in a way, live models. It's because I feel everything has pretty much been done. And I've tried to create books like the X-Men and Spider-Man, and it was just basically, my version of the X-Men and Spider-Man and the Avengers.
Yeah.
And so I really struggled to try to come up with something that would be as original as I could make it.
Yeah.
And so, like, for example, Seek has all of these superheroes in it, but they take a back seat to their main characters.
Okay. Now, you mentioned live models, and I've seen you post photo reference and like you actually taking photos of people. You tend to do this a lot with your work, or is this something specific to Seek?
Well, no. Originally, I like a Masti 8. I drew everything, using reference, but it was basically out of my head, and then it goes back to what I was saying before. I found my characters were reminded me of other characters, Marvel.
Yeah.
And that was just because, whatever I was influenced in, or maybe I was limited to about creating. So I got the idea to use live models from several artists and writers. Brian Bendis originally used live models. Tim Bradstreet, and the guy who worked with Bendis on Daredevil, Alec Maleev, he used live models. So I said, wow, let me give that a shot. So I started that with Natalia Hyde.
Okay.
And at first I thought maybe I would just use her and, embellish it as myself. But I found that I just couldn't keep up the consistency of the character throughout the whole book. So I decided to just do, my photo shoots would be for 6 issues. I would shoot maybe 1 or 2, 3 issues, not even, and, just work it out on my own. But then I got jammed up, so I just started. What I would write, 6 issues arc,
Mm-hmm.
and I would shoot for at least 6 issues. My photo shoots for 6 issues.
And when you shoot, I've seen the images, for Seek, and I believe the cover image, I think, is, or at least one of the promo images, is the main character with a gun in her hand.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're not using actual guns for props or whatever,
No,
but do you have, you're just kind of drawing the gun, but using something else as a substitute in the prop, or?
I used to,
Mhm.
but then I just found it too time consuming. So I
Mhm.
went out and bought all of these prop guns and weapons and badges and airsoft guns.
Yeah.
And so they have the orange tips on them. The actual weapon is orange.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, you want it to be complete, because I was also looking at some of your art, and I'm noticing the backgrounds. And the backgrounds sometimes I don't know, are you shooting them up against the background you want, or are you shooting them, or is that just another background and you just kind of superimpose them over?
I like to shoot outside because of the natural light.
Yeah.
But depending on weather conditions, a couple of shoots I had to shoot in the studio, and then what I'll do is I'll say, for example, in issue 2 of Seek, they're having a fight on the Manhattan Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take my thumbnails, I'll go to the Manhattan Bridge and take photos of what I believe I'll need to fit into each scene.
Oh, interesting. I like that. I like that. That's someone who's really into their work and wants accuracy.
I was fascinated with that because I saw this picture that Tim Bradstreet did years ago of the Punisher. He did the Punisher covers, for the Punisher Max years ago, and he did a picture of the Punisher on the 86th Street train station, and I was like blown away because it really looked like I used to take that train, get off on that station, and it really looked like it. And and I've seen other people draw train stations or New York City, and it just didn't look like, for what I knew, was real. So I became so fascinated about how he did that I said, I'm not going to settle for anything less. If it's in New Orleans, I want it to look like New Orleans, even if nobody knows or cares. It's nice.
So are you, since you are a New Yorker, are you just writing for New York so you don't have to travel right now?
Well, it's kind of like if I know I'm going someplace interesting, like years ago, my wife and we went to London and Paris.
Wow.
And I said, wow, that'll be cool. I'll work that into a story.
Yeah.
So, and it ended up being part of Natalia Hyde. And so, I'm taking my usual tourist pictures, but of course I'm taking 100 other back alley pictures. And my wife is like, is that for the book?
It's funny you mentioned it, because I draw from reference too. I mean, I'm definitely a lot more cartoony, my work, and it's different from what you do, but I still draw from reference. And I remember before I bought the place where I live now, where we actually have a washing machine, we go to the laundromat. And one day, while our clothes were in the washing machine or the dryer, I don't remember what, I decided to walk behind the building, which I'd never done before. And there were these great rock formations with these little tiny waterfalls of things, and I just sat there with my phone snapping shots like crazy at different angles, and to this day I have them saved on my computer, but I haven't used them yet because I haven't need them for a story, but I'm like, one day I will. One day I will need.
I have files and files of reference that maybe I'll never get to. Sometimes I even forget I have. Yeah. But I'm a big reference guy. I really want that feel of it's set in, real world. And I want it to look exactly how it's supposed to look. But at the same time, I think I mentioned to you, I wanted to have that comic book feel.
Yeah.
So I really don't want it to be so lifelike that it looks almost like a sketch or a live, what do they call it? you
Like
know,
a live trace or something.
yeah, you know.
Yeah, no, I get it. Oh, by the way, I just want to go to the comments. I didn't get a chance to say hi to Mike, who's watching. Mike Wilkie, regular watcher, great guy. So thanks for tuning in, Mike. So I had a question about the reference stuff. Give me 1 second. It just slipped my mind. But with the reference, you obviously bring this into the computer. You work digitally. You're not well, I don't say you're not a traditional artist. You're what people might refer to as a tradigital artist. uh, um, but so with this reference, you're bringing into what? You're using Photoshop, I assume.
Yeah, originally I used to draw on 11 by 17, and I love that pen and ink. The reason I switched to digital was really necessity. Time, speed. I have a 9 to 5, so drawing a page was, took a while.
Yeah.
And I just found that using Cintiq, I saved 5 steps. I don't have to scan anymore. I could just draw. I don't even have to pencil and ink. It's almost just like I'm inking straight.
Yeah.
So what I do is I'll take, do my photo shoot. I'll take a character. I'll place them in a scene, say, on the Manhattan Bridge or whatever in Photoshop. And then I'll just draw from that.
So you put them on one layer, like lower the opacity and go onto another layer and just draw. Okay. And you're basically going in with the inks as opposed to doing any kind of roughs, because your photos are your...
It depends on the pose. Sometimes, though, I'll take all of these photos. When I get to the actual panel, it's not working. So I'll have to embellish and make it work.
Yeah. No. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I love traditional. I love having piece of paper, pencil in my hand.
Yeah, me too. I miss.
But the thing is, work-wise, working methods, streamlining your workflow. Nothing beats having, I know you have a Cintiq, I have a Cintiq, but any kind of tablet, monitor tablet, so the Huion brand, whatever you're using, nothing beats having that and having a program like Photoshop, because
and Clip Studio Paint.
I love them. I love them all. I mean, I have Clip Studio Paint and Photoshop both on my laptop in front of me and on my Surface, Microsoft Surface, which is on the other thing. And I have Clip Studio on my iPad as well. So no matter what I'm carrying with me, where I am, I have a program I could draw with that I love, And which, just since we're on the topic, which do you prefer, Photoshop or Clip Studio?
Clip Studio. I always go back to Photoshop for editing and color, but Clip Studio is amazing. I had like another program, I forgot the name of it, that I was lettering with. It was so complicated. And then I figured out how to work it on Clip.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I tend to stay in Photoshop just because, God, how long have I been using it now?
Yeah, me too.
What are we at? Seriously, 21?
Yeah.
Is it?
At least 50 years I've been using Photoshop.
1995 I started with Photoshop. So that's what, 26 years?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Me, 2009, 2008.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, like I can close my eyes and still know where everything is, and I love.
I'm still trying to figure out Clip Studio.
Oh yeah, my issue with Clip Studio, and I'm one of these, and maybe it's just because I'm stuck in my head with Photoshop. I always have trouble making the borders and the frames to the size I want. Yes. Once I get those, so usually I tend to build it my panels in Photoshop, my page, import it into Clip Studio, draw in there, and then I tend to like coloring better in Photoshop, so I'll go back to Photoshop to color. But I've just discovered, and I don't know if you've seen this in Photoshop. If you remember a while back, there was what's his name? Kyle T. Webster. He'd make all these great brushes for Photoshop, whatever. And eventually he made a deal with Adobe. and you could download his brushes directly into Photoshop. So I did that one day, and then when I went to log back in, all the brushes were gone. I guess I have to reinstall them. I don't know what happened, but I've been having computer issues. Anyway, I found this one, and it's called, oh man, I think it's called Classic Cartoonist Inker or something like that. And it's like the greatest brush I ever used. It's like I don't know if I even want to go back to Clip Studio now. I mean, so yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm just in love with it. And I'm actually going to get the name for you right now. I'm just opening up Photoshop real quick, just in case you pop on Photoshop and want to check out. Ooh, that's
I'm
not
always
a good.
on the hunt for a better pen.
Yeah, it is called. That's not it. Oh, it's just called Classic Cartoonist. It's a fantastic brush. I'm like in love with it right now. And I mean, it works well large if you're doing silly, funny things like me. But if you thin it down, like get it a smaller size, it looks great on like more comic book style work too. So,
Right.
so yeah, definitely check that out if you can. So let me just ask you quickly about a couple of things about your reference. I want to go back to before we get into Seek. Number one, your models, are they people you know and they're doing it as a favor? Are you hiring people? How are you doing that?
Both.
Both. And go
My
ahead.
Natalia Hyde is my niece, Angela.
Okay.
And I've been so lucky. I've had, I've hired some professionals like Seek,
Yeah.
Serafina, but I've been so lucky that the friends and family that have posed for me were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like they brought more to the photo shoot than I could even ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been lucky.
And do you shoot with just on like your phone or tablet, or do you use an actual camera?
Camera.
Excuse me, sorry. And for the camera geeks out there, what kind do you use?
The Canon EOS. I forgot what model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that one of the more? That's not a DSL, right? Or is it?
Yes.
It is a DSL. Okay. I'm trying to think because I've used a lot of cameras in my time, and I've taught some digital photography. That brand sounds familiar. I think I might have used it in one of my classes that I taught. And then since everything's digital, just straight into the computer.
Exactly.
That's cool. Let's bring up. I'm going to share the screen now, and let's bring up. If I get to the right screen, here we go. Your Kickstarter for Seek. And here we go. This is Seek, and let me move back over here. So as I look at this, and let me just open this. You know what? I'm going to close it up more. So would it zoom in on this stuff if I close it up? Not really. All right. So number one, who's the model for this character here?
Serafina. The story with the model for Seek was that I had a model before Serafina. My idea for Seek originally was a brunette, Jessica Jones type. And a friend of mine was interested in, working with me, and happened to be, redhead, and it worked out great, but it fell through after a couple of issues.
Okay.
So I scrubbed Seek and I started working on something else. Then I discovered Serafina on Instagram.
Okay.
I sent her a proposal because I couldn't shake the look. I couldn't shake this, that the character had to have her red hair.
Yeah.
So if I couldn't get a redhead, I wasn't going to do it. So I was lucky, maybe a year later or so, I discovered Serafina on Instagram. Like I said, I sent her a proposal about Seek, and she went for it.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm familiar with the model Serafina.
She was a cosplay model.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar, but I can't like.
Seraphia cosplay.
Okay, I'll have to look her up. It sounds very familiar. Now, unfortunately, we tried to play this before. We can't have the sound. So, can you tell us a little bit about your story, Seek?
Okay, Seek is a bounty hunter. Along with her team, she has about 9 people she works with, other bounty hunters. And what they do is they hunt down superpowered fugitives. And none of her team, including herself, have any superpowers or special weapons.
Okay.
And the Seek's like a little tagline is just because they could turn on fire or throw a car or fly doesn't make them bulletproof. And so that's the gist of what Seek is about.
Nice. Sounds interesting. I like that. Ooh, sorry. So unfortunately, we can't. You guys can't hear it if I play it, but I'm going to play it just so you can see the artwork passing by, and you guys get an idea of what the artwork sounds like. And if you guys at home hear it, please let me know in the comments. Maybe I just can't hear it on my end, but it's weird. Okay. All right. Very nice. Now, if you guys at home want to just type in the comments to let me know if you heard it or not, that'd be awesome. But the artwork is gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's I can tell you're using reference, but that's fine. That doesn't matter to me. It's gorgeous. I love looking at what you're doing here.
I felt, like I said to you before, creating a character out of my head, I was limited to what I was influenced in or what I could come up with. And I just felt because the market is so saturated and the competition is so great, not even including Marvel or DC, to come up with a character that was at least in appearance original looking. So I decided to use live models because I know no one can mistake Natalia or Seek or any of my other characters as anyone else.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm looking here and just seeing how you have all these great inks, these outlines here. And then I go back and I look at the artwork you had coloring wise. Is this kind of how you finish your drawings and then you really go in with color for the details?
Yeah, I work in layers. Okay. I'll block the scene out like that, and then I'll start adding the details after, and then the color's the last thing.
Okay. Jim said there was no sound. Jim, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. You guys, though, after the show, go on Kickstarter and watch it again, and please donate. By the way, when does this end? 7 days to go.
Yeah, May 12th, I believe.
Cool. And you've already hit your goal, so you're just working on getting stretch goals now.
Yes.
All right. Let's take a look at what what you're giving away. So I'm going to look at them down here. Oh, those are your stretch goals. So let's look at them on this side here. So $10 just because you believe. Okay. So the first one is the bail bondsman reward because you believe in support. The $5, the bounty hunter, which gets you the subway cover, digital PDF copy of Seek ready to go. Okay. The subway cover, was that the image we saw in here of the subway?
Yes. It should be on the lower, the bottom.
Okay, if I go to the bottom here.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. Okay, very nice. Now, since you used an actual subway as reference, which we know, is the graffiti made up, or is this the graffiti that's on the walls there?
The graffiti is made up. It's everyone I know. They'll know who they are on that graffiti.
Okay.
I was trying to give it that 1970s gritty.
Yeah.
My wife and I went to my old neighborhood in Park Slope early Sunday morning. Hoping that we would have some privacy. We went to the end of the platform with our thumbnails, and I took pictures. And when I did this, it was a little frowned on to take pictures in the subway, so we kind of had to be as discreet as possible.
Yeah.
We got a couple of weird looks, like, why are you taking pictures down here? But we finished in about an hour or so.
That's great. Moving down. Oh, that was the one I just said. So this one here, 15, you get the signed subway cover, number 0, and PDF. So this is, so you're getting the print and the PDF here. Is this the main cover?
Yes.
There? Okay. So we move on to $18. You get the Sneak Zero sign badge, variant cover, and the PDF badge, which I'm assuming is coming up right here.
Yes.
Okay. That's the picture I was thinking in my head when I said the main character's got the gun in her hand.
Yeah.
And that's the one I was thinking about. And then when you go to 20, you go to get the Tales of Suspense cover, okay, and you get the print copy of that and the PDF, and we'll show that in a moment. In the $40 reward, you get the Subway, the badge, homage covers, so you get both the Subway and the badge covers. And is that no? And the 60's All Gone, which was to be created as an upcoming villain. So this is the Tales of Suspense kind of homage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Parody, homage, whatever you want to call it. So I like this though. Obviously when I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is totally, parody here, but
I was trying to come up with an homage cover that no one's ever done. But after I finished, I saw 5 other covers.
George is in the audience saying hi. Hi guys, thanks for coming in. As I look at this, I'm loving and again, I'll never knock anyone who uses reference, because I use reference. I think every artist should be using reference. Anyone who says they could draw to the head better be Frank Frazetta, in my opinion. It's
this artist, Kim Jong Lee or Jung Jai. You ever see him?
Oh yes, I've seen like YouTube videos.
Yeah, he's a savant. He's amazing.
Yeah. And I'm looking at this here, and I'm like, I'm loving the perspective you get. Because of the references, you're able to create almost movie quality camera angles.
Yeah, I lay that all out in my thumbnails. I do my best to, when I'm shooting the photo shoot, to replicate that. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but so I'll have to embellish or change the scene.
It's
like the original picture of her up against that podium. She was up against a tree in a part.
This one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't really bring her down to the subway holding a paintball gun.
No.
George says it's like being in the subway. It is. It really is. I love it. Although I don't go in the subway too often. I'm not one to be around a lot of people like that. I'd rather Uber or take a cab. I love it though. Like and for anyone who's watching who's never been to New York, I'm looking at this, and if you've been into the New York City subway, looking at your drawings, you know the smell, you know the texture of things. Like I can like in my hand already feel the banister walking up that like I don't want to normally touch, but will.
Well, that's exactly what I was going for. I just, like I told you earlier with Tim Bradstreet, I just almost became obsessed with, having my book set in reality. And, you'll see in comic books, the Fantastic Four, they're having a fight, downtown Manhattan, and it's just whatever the artist can come up with. But I really felt like I really wanted to have as close as possible to the real thing.
Yeah, I love this one right here. This is one of my favorite pieces.
Sarafina did a great job, and I felt so bad because at the time I was shooting outside, and that, of course, that day, even though I checked the weather, that day was freezing. And she was a trooper, and and my photo shoots for the main character usually take 5 hours.
Wow.
We take breaks, of course, but it's a good 5 hours for 6 issues, over 500 pictures, and she was really a trooper.
And do they wear? Are these the outfits they wear?
Yes.
In the images. Okay.
Yeah, I usually pick out something, or the model will come to the shoot with something. I'll kind of tell them what I need, what the character's about.
Yeah. And this is just everything we were looking at here. Yeah, I got to look up this. I feel like I know her, maybe even met her at shows. It's just, I'm totally blanking.
Yeah, she did a lot of New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
So I have issues 0 to 6 planned out and written. I'm starting to write issues 7 to 12 now, the second arc. And it starts off in Arizona without giving anything away. I almost did. I gave something away on George's show, George and Sam's show.
Actually, let me interrupt you because I don't want you to give anything away, so we'll stop you from talking for 1 second. George says, "When will we be shooting, Jerry?" So
George pledged on tier to be a character, villain in Seek, an upcoming issue of Seek.
That's great.
So George is going to be a.
He makes the perfect villain, right?
Not really. He's too nice, but.
I can't wait to see you draw George out in your comic now.
Yeah,
that's gonna be fantastic. So yeah, no, this is. I'm sorry. I'm just looking around still at this. I love the layout. Now, when you're doing a page like this here, because this is a page from the book. Obviously, it doesn't have the text in there. Are you laying out this panel by panel, or are you working in Photoshop? Say, just as an example, I'm going to do this small panel first, and then I copy and paste it into Photoshop, or are you just, or how, like when you do your layouts, are you doing it all on one page at a time, or is it, I'm going to work on this file, so you do it all at one time?
Yeah, all at one time. Well, no, like I work from my thumbnails, so I kind of know how the page is going to look, of course. Yeah. And originally I did it like that, worked on the page itself, but sometimes I like to move the panels around, which I've done. Even on that page, to choreograph it a little different. I'll get to a page and I feel like maybe it's too slow. I'll take a panel out, put one in.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at comments. George says, "Got to run, guys, but everyone make sure you pledge to seek today. See you all on social networks." Well, yep. So George, thanks for tuning in, even for the few moments. We really appreciate it, and I agree. You gotta donate to this. What? This is something I didn't ask. Who's your target audience? What age group is this good for?
Well, Seek is kind of my love letter to the superhero comics of the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
I created a whole superhero universe for Seek. So, 13 and up.
13 and up. So PG-13.
Yeah, PG-13.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't usually have kids watching, to my knowledge, but I have parents always looking, who watch sometimes, and they want to know, will this be good for their kids? I think the art is great. I love the way you rendered her hair here.
Most of my books are PG-13, except for Violent Dogs. That's going to be an R.
Okay. All right. I just love your rendering of stuff here.
Oh,
like the gun, her hair. It makes me want to look at the reference photos. And
like I said, when I draw from the photo, after I get especially the face down, I just add my own details, and I look at my influences. Like I love David Finch, the way his details are amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Greg Capullo, his details are amazing. So when I finish a drawing, I'll look at one of their pictures and kind of see how they would add details. And
yeah, this is fantastic. I mean, and all the people you're naming are the people I love to look at too. But it's funny, I don't do any of that. I'm very cartoony, and I've always said this. My favorite artist is Sergio Aragonés. I love what he did with Gru. I'm such a big fan. Love his Mad magazines. Anything he does, if its name's on it, I'm purchasing it. That's basically how it works for me. And one of the things I always liked about his work was, even though it looks simple, there's all these little details, even if you don't notice it.
I agree.
And except when you open up the Gru splash page, and he's drawn like 1 million people on one picture with this, cartoon boat that looks like, this great pirate boat with sails and all this. It's great stuff. The detail that you could do even cartoony, but I'm not that detailed, but I appreciate it so much. I appreciate what people do, because I come from two theories. Less is more, and I'm really lazy. And mostly I'm really lazy. And so I want to keep it, what is important to the picture. But I love when people do details, because then I can look at it and see, like, just the way you do the snaps on her jacket,
Well, the Cintiq, using this, the reason, again, I say I switched to digital was, drawing these little panels, the 4x6 panels, my eyes are going, and I'm obsessed with details, and I just couldn't keep it up. Now, as using the Cintiq, you could blow it up 200%.
Yeah.
And I'm drawing all of these things that actually you won't see when you reduce it, or nobody cares.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to calm down with that.
No, listen, do what you do, you, man. This is gorgeous. I would not have the patience to even do anything like this little stuff here. You got this texture. You got.
I take breaks, a lot of breaks in between, because I do lose my patience.
Yeah, I'm like, I get angry when I can't get a line straight sometimes, and I don't I can't imagine doing. So I really appreciate all the work and effort that you put into this.
I really would like to simplify my art a little bit, and I've seen so many, like you said, so many styles, and I can't think of this one artist. He did the Black Widow several years ago. Oh, I forgot his name. His style is so simple, but it's so beautiful. It's so and at the same time lifelike.
Yeah.
Oh, and this other artist that did Gotham Central, Lark. His style too is is somewhat detailed, but way simpler than mine, but amazing. And I kind of would like to maybe have a happy medium, for maybe just for the purpose of getting it done that much faster. You know?
Yeah, no, I know. Hey, listen, if this is what your audience is asking for, I say keep going at it. I mean, you do, like I said, you do you, but man, if this is your audience and they're loving it, because I'm loving it. I'm just, again, it's not something I do. You've seen my work on like Instagram and Facebook. I am super cartoony, like silly as hell, but it's it's one of those things where it's like I don't do it, but I love it, and I love looking at it. And this is just gorgeous.
I'm the opposite, just like you, like Calvin and Hobbes. I find that amazing. I have all his books, all the trade, hardcover books of Calvin and Hobbes, and I find his art was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, Waterston was.
Yeah, Waterston.
I still look at it. I have like three of his. I have like 3 books of his collections on my bookshelf down there, but I have the entire complete collection behind me, and I hardly open them up just because of the size that they are. But I go to the other stuff unless it's something I want to look at that isn't in those collections. Oh, so good.
Oh yes, amazing.
So good. That's where I learned from, were those type of stuff over comic books. So I think maybe that's another reason for me. But this is just I get excited looking at things like this. The story, like you said, is PG-13, and this is great for kids.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of superhero
stuff. Yeah. So I'm just looking, and your what do you call it here? Your rewards or your pledges are very reasonable. It's not something like crazy to ask for, but you've already more than doubled, more than tripled your goal. So congratulations on that. Were you planning to basically just do a small print run, or?
Well, I work alone. I know a lot of people, they do Kickstarters and they ask for a certain amount because they have to pay a colorist, an artist.
Yeah.
I do everything. So my thing was just to raise enough money for the print and shipping.
Okay. Yeah. And you definitely did that. And you've opened up your stretch goals, correct?
Yes.
So the first one, you're gonna have a trading card, physical backing. Hopefully, we'll get okay. So that one's unlocked, and this one's locked still.
No, it's unlocked.
Oh, it doesn't say. Okay, sorry. So, and you haven't hit this one here because you're at 69 backers.
Yeah.
You will unlock both. Oh, okay. So you're just getting all the trading cards.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's my way of introducing the rest of the cast.
Yeah. Wow. This is some really nice stuff here. And I'm looking at the trading cards and checking them out right now.
I even have the models sometimes pick their own names.
Really?
Yeah. Like Seek's team, aside from Seek and her partner there that's in issue 0 with her, everyone got to pick their own comic book name.
So this character, is it Liza?
Yeah, she's the super. Actually, I named her too, but the rest of them, everyone picked their own name. Like that other card is Pope Francis.
Okay.
I have Calypso, Jax, Nixie. Everybody. I said if they didn't have one, I would come up with something. But everybody has a name they kind of like. So
yeah,
it's my way of involving the models that much more into the book.
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, listen, it sounds like you're doing something really, really good. That and you obviously you make the models feel like they're contributing other than just their look, you know?
When we shoot, I'll ask them anything you want to add.
Mhm.
I even somewhat base their personalities on the real people. I've asked Serafina how she would say this, what she would do like this, you know, what kind of coffee she likes, things they add.
No, it's nice. The little extra details, and they know when they're reading it that it
Exactly.
was, yeah, special for them. Um, I just want to ask one more question because we're gonna wrap up soon. But where'd you get the name Pyramid Graphic
No,
Novels?
that's a great question. When I was drawing, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry,
Mhm.
I was calling it Winsborrow Comics Group, like
Yeah,
Marvel's Comics Group.
yeah.
And I just felt, if that was my last name, of course, I just felt it didn't have any zing, it didn't sound cool enough. So I asked my mother, Mom, I need a cool name for my company. And
Mhm.
she just said Pyramid, it's majestic, eighth wonder of the world. And I just went with it. And,
Okay.
my mother passed away a long time ago. And though a couple of times I thought maybe changing it, I keep it in honor of her memory.
That's very nice. That's sweet. I like that. That's nice. And how many pages is this story going to be?
Standard like 23,
Okay.
23 pages.
Nice. Yeah. Before I wrap up, is there anything you want to talk about that we didn't get a chance to discuss, or?
Um, no, just that Seek is it's going to be like a full blown superhero action book.
Hmm.
I've fully developed characters, a lot of old school action uh, references, um, and though Seek is the lead, each character in her team will get to shine a little bit, and
Okay.
a lot of surprise endings and a lot of things happen throughout the book that
Okay.
lead up to the second arc.
All right.
Yeah, I'm even going to, like I said before, the second arc starts off in Arizona, and
Uh-huh.
I'm a trip there to do some photo reference.
Nice. If you don't mind me asking, what part of Arizona are you heading to?
The Phoenix area,
Okay.
Chandler. My sister-in-law lives there.
Okay. I got a good friend who lives out in oh God, I'm blanking on it. I hope he's not watching. I think it's the Scottsdale area.
Oh, yeah, I believe that's where she is too.
Is that Scottsdale, or I don't know, maybe something like that.
So
I don't.
my wife has been there several times, so
Yeah.
she's going to take me around, and I'm going to shoot all this reference I can
Yeah.
for Seek, and have a little vacation out of it.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, good luck with that. Do you mind hanging out backstage for a few moments while I do my wrap up? Awesome. So, but before I let you go, I just want to say thank you for coming on. Number one, thank
Thank
you for creating, being a creator, coming up with these stories. I love what you're doing here. I want everybody to go out and pledge who hasn't pledged already. Even though you've made it, let's hit that next stretch goal. Let's really bring it together. Let's get people to know Seek and all your other work that you've done. It's fantastic that you can do this.
Thank you. I have, like I said, after Seek, it's going to be Violent Dogs, then Natalia Hyde, and then the others,
All
and
right.
then back to Seek.
Hey, you got to move around, right?
Yeah. The
Uh,
thing is, like, I would discover these models, and
hmm,
I would say, "Wow, they're amazing." I have to create a book to put them in, and I
hmm.
just wanted to sit it on the shelf and never get to it. So
Yeah.
I decided to do 6 books at once, basically, and I got them
Yeah.
done.
That's
You know?
great. I wish I had the time to do something like that.
Well, I didn't have the time. This is years in the making. I
Yeah.
admit, over 10 years in the making.
Wow.
But I got it done, and I'm grateful for platforms like Instagram and
Mhm.
Kickstarter to be able to show my work and promote it.
Yeah,
I think this is the golden age of indie comics, and
definitely.
I really don't buy mainstream comics anymore. Um, So I just buy independents, and I really feel like in several years that I think that's what's going to lead everything. It's amazing.
I'm feeling kind of the same. I don't really read mainstream too much anymore. I feel indie comics are going to be I don't want to use the term mainstream, but they will be the comics that most people will be going to. It's nothing against superheroes, because there's some great indie superhero books either. But I think, there's a lot of reasons behind it. But one of my thoughts is we become so saturated with Marvel movies and the failings of DC movies. And I think people are superheroed out.
I agree.
And that's part of the issue. I mean, I'll always love comics. I'll always love superheroes.
Me too.
But I love reading things that aren't always superheroes. Oh God, I wish I could pull it out right now. I have this great book. You know what? Let me just see if I can grab it. I want to show it to everybody because I think everyone should read this. It's a very great kid-friendly book. And just give me 1 second. Where is it? Where is it? Of course, I have to move a lot of books to get to it right now. Hold on. Oh my God. Way too many. Everything's going to fall. Almost there. Okay, that's too heavy to put on top of there. Here it is. Now this book, let me see if it's got a date in there. If I can go to the first page. This is from 2012, this book. I've probably had it, oh God, maybe around that time. This is one of my favorite indie books I've ever read. Giants Beware. I can't remember the kids' names right now, but this little girl here wants to be a great warrior, and she just wants to go out and fight giants, and she escapes her village, with her little brother who just wants to be a chef and a friend of hers. And they go, I mean, it's just fun, and they learn the world is not like they thought it was. And I won't say anything else, but it's a fun adventure, and it's by Rafael Rosado and is it Aguirre? I can never say it properly, but I've met Jorge a few times. Great guy, and he's the writer. And this is the type of stuff I like to see. I like to look at, not just because it's kid friendly, but it's a fun adventure story, But I have others, back there too that I could pull out. I'm just not going to go through my entire bookshelf right now. But yeah, I mean, I love seeing those type of things, and I'm hoping we could see more, whether it's your style, that style, my style, someone else's style. I just want to see good books with good stories coming out. And again, I don't care if they're superheroes or not. So
same here.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books over the last 10 years was a book called 100 Bullets.
Yes.
That was the one book I collected, throughout. And usually I thought I wouldn't be interested in a book like that, a crime drama. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I found it amazing.
Yeah, it was great. I didn't follow it 100%, but I read some. It was a good book, good stories in there.
Amazing artist, Eduardo Russo, who is underrated.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let me do my wrap up, and I will be with you in a moment. I'm going to drop backstage. Thanks again for coming on. Sure, I had a lot of fun chatting with you and learning more about your product, and I hope the audience did as well, and the audience will be picking up a copy of this through your Kickstarter.
Great. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. All right, guys. Couple of things. I'm going to do something, and it's a test. So if this doesn't work, don't blame me. I'm going to change my audio, everything to my MacBook, built-in speakers, and even my microphone. So now you guys can hear me, and I'm doing this because I want to see about the sound. I want to try something. And I'm going to turn off the banner so we can see it, but everyone check out Pyramid Graphic Novels on Instagram. And so I'm having a little issue. What I've done, whoops, why did it do that? Because today is May the 4th, be with you here, good old Star Wars Day. I have this little animation I made a while back, and as long as the sound can play, I want you guys to see it. So let me see if I can find it. Let me see. I just had it, and here it is. And let me go right here. And I don't want it to play yet. I want to make sure my sound is up. I'm just going to do something quick. I'm sorry, guys. Just bear with me for one moment, because this is something I did a few years ago. And sound effects, play when interface is up, show volume. Okay. Output, MacBook Pro speakers. This might have been my issue earlier, and why it wasn't. My mic is working. Okay. So this might have been my issue. So let me share my screen. God, I hope this. It's a 12-second animation. I did this at a job on my lunch hour one day, when this was a job I had a few years back. I was on my lunch hour, and I found that it was May the 4th, and so I took out I cut out construction paper and did like an old school kind of South Park type of Star Wars animation, which I did with a little computer graphics, like Photoshop or Premiere. I don't remember what I used. But let me hit play. Everything looks like the sound might be on. Okay, here we go. May the 4th be with you. So I don't know if you guys heard it. I hope you did. No, we don't need that again. So I hope you guys heard it. That was a little thing I just been wanting to share, and I meant to share it at the beginning, but I didn't have it set up in time. So again, you guys, thanks for tuning in. It really was a fun night. I really enjoyed talking to Jerry. I think his stuff looks fantastic. I think the story ideas are really cool. And seriously, go to his Kickstarter. It's in the comments there. Check it out. And I'll see you next week. But before I go, I just also want to mention that on my next guest next Tuesday will be Evan Dorkin, who was very popular in the 90s for his book Milk and Cheese, Dork, and some other books for slave labor, and went on to do so many other great projects for DC and Cartoon Network and all these other things. And we're going to talk to him, and we will have fun next week too. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I had a great time. Don't forget Pyramid Graphic Novels on Instagram, and head over to the Kickstarter for Seek. I will see you guys next week. Bye.